First, let's add a plane to the scene and give it thickness by extruding it upwards. Let's go to the Scene tab and change the display of lengths from meters to millimeters. Among the references, we have the exact dimensions of our gun. Open them using the PureRef program and specify these dimensions for our plane in the Dimensions field. Let's create a new material for this object and adjust the transparency for the viewport. Drag the reference image into our scene and adjust it to the size of our object. Check the perspective options to see the references in perspective mode. We will need this only at the reference setup stage. Once it is completed, we will disable the ability to see our references in perspective mode. Now let's duplicate the reference along the x-axis, move it to the side and rotate it 180 degrees. Let's name the only mesh object in our scene, create a collection with the same name, and move the size object to the size collection. Hide these collections and continue setting up references in our scene. The standard collection that contains both references can be called ref. Let's adjust the transparency of the second reference so that we can see the first one behind it and place it so that the guns match each other. For more precise positioning, hold down the Shift key while moving the image. Duplicate the third one from the first reference and rotate it 90 degrees in the back view. Return the hidden collection with the size object and adjust the size of our top reference according to its size. When everything is ready, duplicate the fourth one from the third reference and adjust it. And the last two references, duplicate the fifth one from the fourth, and when the fifth one is adjusted, duplicate the sixth one from it and place it in the right place. After all 6 references are set up in our scene, we go through each of them and disable the ability to see them in perspective mode. We make sure that on each side we see only the reference we need, and all the others are hidden at this moment. The front and back parameters will allow us to enable the visibility of the reference only from the side we need and hide it from all the others. Create a new collection and name it. Add a cylinder to the scene, rotate it 90 degrees and move it to the beginning of the barrel. In edit mode, extrude the main shape from our cylinder. Let's assign Auto Smooth shading to the object. Let's add a new object with one vertex to the scene. To do this, you can use the Non-Destructive Modeling Toolkit add-on or add a plane to the scene and merge all the vertices in the center. Now from this vertex, we will begin to extrude the shape of the next part. In order not to extrude each edge manually, you can create right angles and then use the bevel tool to create a chamfer in all those places where we need to round our edges. If there is missing geometry in some area, select the required edge and subdivide it using the subdivide operator. Using the Loop Tools add-on, we will smooth the selected vertices using its Relax option. At this stage, we will move the 3D cursor to the selected vertex and add a ring object in edit mode. Let's rotate it 90 degrees, make it much smaller, and scale it along the Z-axis so that it takes on an oval shape. Let's place this ring in the place we need, duplicate it, make it a little bigger, and thus save ourselves a huge amount of time. Select all the extra vertices of the outer ring and delete them. After that, connect the outer ring to the main outline and continue repeating the shape of this part. Select all the vertices of this object and extrude them along the x-axis. Create one edge in the lower area of the trigger, then select all the edges around the perimeter and create a polygon. Let's turn on the transparency mode using hotkey Alt+Z, select the missing sharp corner and create a chamfer for it as well. We also assign Auto Smooth Shading to this object. Select the edges using the Sharp Edges option, and use the Shift+E hotkey to set the mean crease parameter to 1. And finally, triangulate the polygon using the hotkey Ctrl+T. Using the hotkey Ctrl+1, we can assign the Subdivision Surface modifier to level 1 for our object. All faces of our object are subdivided, and the edges with the mean crease option retain their shape and will not be deformed under the influence of the Subdivision Surface modifier. Let's add the mirror modifier and check the clipping option. Set the merge parameter to 0.1. Let's add a cube object to the scene, with which we will cut out part of our part. First, let's change its proportions a little and apply the scale parameter. Next, in the Edit mode, create chamfers and adjust the final shape. In the Object mode, assign Auto Smooth Shading. First, select our cube, then the ND Sketch object, and using the Non-Destructive Modeling Toolkit add-on, apply the Boolean modifier in Difference mode. Due to this, a new utils collection will be automatically created, into which the cube object will be placed. For the cube object itself, we will also assign the mirror modifier so that the cut will also occur on the back of the gun. The utils collection can be hidden, and you can continue working with the ND Sketch object in Edit mode. Let's start by adding the first loop cut using the hotkey Ctrl+R. To move a vertex along the adjacent edges, simply press G twice. To make it easier to move the vertices along the direction we need, let's create our own custom coordinates. Select the face at the bottom and press plus in the Transform Orientations menu. Now we can select the vertex, press the Y-axis, and it will move along the local Y-axis of the face we selected. Let's move the selected loop cut a little and add another one to create additional geometry. Just like with the vertex, you can adjust entire loop cuts by simply pressing G twice and moving them along the edges adjacent to them. Let's move the 3D cursor to the central part behind the gun and add a plane to the scene. From this plane, we need to create an object with which we will cut out the back of our gun. Rotate it, make it much smaller, and create a chamfer in the editing mode. After that, assign Auto Smooth Shading and add thickness to this object using extrusion. Then everything is standard. First, select the plane, then our main ND sketch object, and cut one object out of the other. When working with Boolean operations in Blender, a situation often arises when objects are not cut out or not combined. This can happen for various reasons. In such situations, you need to check the object for duplicates and extra vertices. You also need to make sure that the normals are facing outward. It would not be superfluous to switch the operating modes of the Boolean modifier itself. In some situations, the fast mode gives the best result, and in some, the exact mode. Also, the shape and topology of the object itself can make significant changes to the modifier's operation. Therefore, simply moving certain vertices, or adding or deleting existing ones, can give the desired result. Add the next cube to the scene and also change its shape in the edit mode. After setting the dimensions, apply the scale parameter and create a chamfer based on the reference. Assign Auto Smooth Shading. First select the cube, then our gun, and again apply the Boolean modifier in difference mode. The modifier again does not give us any results, but after we change the direction of the object's normals in edit mode, using the Shift+N hotkey, we get the desired result. And again add the cube, adjust its dimensions, and use it to cut out the shape we need. In this case, in the place where the objects intersect, edges are not created. To fix this, you will have to move the cube a little to the right or to the left along the y-axis. If its right side is in the same place as the previous cube, then the Blender will not give us the desired results, and you will have to at least slightly shift this cube to the side. For the previous object, assign the mirror modifier to make a cut on the back side as well. Add the next cube and repeat the reference shape again in edit mode. We will cut out the upper part of our gun from this object. If necessary, use Ctrl+R to create new cuts to add the geometry we need. Mirror this object along the x-axis to work with only half of it and extrude the vertices to the center. After that, extrude the cube almost to the back of the gun. Open the reference, see what the back looks like, and based on the reference, change the shape of our object. As usual, add a modifier in difference mode and refine the shape of this object with this modifier. Add cuts in the back based on the reference. Then select the necessary faces and extrude them along the y-axis. To create a cutout in the trigger area, we add a cube again, change its shape, and assign a Boolean modifier. Now let's work on the bottom of the handle. Select the edge at the bottom and create custom coordinates from this edge. Enable the Utils collection and edit the object, cutting out the gun handle a little, so that it doesn't interfere with creating elements at the bottom of the handle. Add a cylinder to the scene, rotate it 90 degrees in edit mode, delete half of it, and start extruding the shape we need from the rest. Once the shape is ready, close the mesh and assign a Boolean modifier to cut out the bottom part. Here we will have a similar situation to the one at the top. When two different objects converge in one plane, the Boolean modifier refuses to work as we need. Therefore, one solution to this problem is to combine these two objects into one. Select both objects and combine them with the Ctrl+J hotkey. Delete one edge for the upper and lower objects, then select one vertex for each object and combine them into one solid object. Add another cube to the scene and use it to cut out the part we need. Again, create custom coordinates from the bottom edge to make it easier to move the selected elements. In the back of the handle, we need a smooth transition. So select various vertices and move them, achieving the desired result. Constantly look at how the object looks in object mode and adjust it if necessary. Select the line of vertices in the rear upper part of the gun and start creating a new object from it, with which we will subsequently cut out another recess. Based on the reference, create the desired shape using extrusion, chamfers, and moving vertices. Later, we will take this object out into a separate one. Select it completely in edit mode, press the P key and select selection. Do not forget to look at the reference more often, and if our shape does not quite match, then it needs to be finalized. Assign the Boolean modifier, and looking at the result of its work, continue to adjust the geometry. Using the Relax option of the Loop Tools add-on, we can smooth out the selected edge lines. And again, we adjust the position of our vertices to the reference, look at the result, smooth out certain areas, and achieve the desired smoothness and transitions we need. Let's select all the edges that we marked with the mean crease parameter for our subdivision surface modifier and additionally mark them as sharp. Thus, auto smooth shading in combination with the subdivision surface modifier will give us the desired result. The marked edges will be sharp and everything else will be smoothed. At this stage, you can check for vertices that are close to each other. To do this, completely select the object in Edit mode and press the M key and choose by distance parameter. You can also use the Vertex Overlap add-on. At this stage, we need to adjust the cutouts on the right side of the gun. Since these parts are not mirrored, we will apply the mirror modifier and individually adjust the shape on the back side. In the reference, we see two levels of recess, so we change the shape of our cube so that we can make two cutouts at different depths. We select this part as a separate object and assign the Boolean modifier to create a cutout with it. We do the same for the other object from the utils collection. We apply the mirror modifier, select the mirrored part as a separate object, and change its shape in accordance with the reference. The detail in the upper corner of the gun is also not quite symmetrical. Therefore, we will apply the mirror modifier to it, select it as a separate object, assign the Boolean modifier, and refine its shape in accordance with the reference. Before moving on, we will make many small settings and optimizations. We adjust various parts of the gun in accordance with the reference and adjust them to the dimensions we need. We adjust all the objects with which we create cutouts. For our main ND sketch object, we can delete half and assign a mirror modifier. This way, the second part will be mirrored from the first, and we will only have to adjust half of the vertices. We will also duplicate our ND sketch object and move the duplicate to a new collection and name it Backup. We will hide the newly created collection for now and continue working with our object. The name of the object was changed to ND Sketch 4 because it was restored from a backup. Several manipulations were performed behind the scenes, after which it was decided to roll back and continue working from the current state. Let's select the edge line, duplicate it, and move it to a separate object. Using the spin tool, we will create the geometry we need from this edge line and rotate it to the required angle in accordance with our reference. After creating the base with the spin tool, we will refine this object to the state where we can cut out the shape we need with the Boolean modifier. Using proportional editing, we can additionally adjust the shape, and also use the Loop Tools add-on to select the necessary edges, and use the Relax option to smooth them out a little. We completely close this section of the geometry and also make sure, looking at the reference, that we have built the correct shape. We extrude the selected vertex with the binding to the specified ones, and then move the 3D cursor to it. After that, this vertex can be deleted, the rotation center can be changed to the 3D cursor, and using proportional editing, align these vertices relative to the 3D cursor. We apply the Boolean modifier and begin to edit this shape in any available way until we get the cut we need. We arrange the edges using Loop Tools and its Relax operator. Using proportional editing, we change the shape of the entire object and move the object itself so that the Boolean modifier works. As we already know from the previous examples, when several faces are in the same place, the Boolean modifier may not work, and for this you need to move the object a little. Select this edges, duplicate them, and select them into a separate object using the P key. Extrude this object along the y-axis, and then delete the left half of this object. Assign the mirror modifier and thus restore the deleted part. Based on the reference, align the 4 selected vertices along the x-axis to form a straight line. Continue extruding the shape of this object based on the reference. You can also create the lower mesh from another object. Duplicate and move it into a separate object, and then combine everything together. Add a cylinder to the scene and place it in the back upper part of the gun. Find these elements in the reference and start modeling them. After placing the cylinder in the right place, make it smaller, apply the scale parameters, and add the mirror modifier. Now add a cube object to the same area and start changing its shape in accordance with the reference. By analogy with the previous cylinder, shift the cube geometry to the left side and add the mirror modifier. Leave this cube for a while and create a face behind the cylinder that we added recently. After that, add a plane in object mode, and from it we will model the next object, which we will use to create a cutout based on the reference. Extrude with sharp corners according to the reference shape, and then use the bevel tool to round off the corners. Just in case, duplicate this cylinder and move it to the backup collection, and continue working with the current one. After creating a closed shape from the upper object, assign Auto Smooth Shading and apply the Boolean modifier to cut this object out of our cylinder. After cutting off the top, we add a cube object to the scene and start creating the shape for the next cutout on the top of the gun. We cut the cube out of the top. After that, the cylinder itself can be extended a little along the y-axis based on the reference, and that's all for now. Now we'll work on the small cutouts in the front part, and for this we'll add a plane to the scene. We'll change the back of the cylinder a little according to the reference, raise the vertices up and merge them. At this stage, there is no difference in how we create the cutouts, using the Boolean modifier or model them manually. Our main goal is to repeat the shape of the reference as closely as possible for further work. We return to our plane and finish it with a closed object, which can be cut out of our cylinder. As usual, using a chamfer, we create a smooth transition, then create a closed geometry and cut it out using the Boolean modifier. Seeing the work of the Boolean modifier, we can additionally edit this element, change its dimensions and proportions to achieve the desired result. and now we can combine the upper cylinder with the cube. Let's add the same number of cuts to the cube as our cylinder has at the top and combine both of these objects in edit mode. Extrude the lower part to the end and close everything with faces and polygons at the edges. Also at the end, create one large face. Since the small cuts at the beginning of our cylinder are on both sides, do not forget to add the mirror modifier to duplicate the cut on the other side. The cube from which we cut the central part can be extended to the end along the Y-axis in edit mode, and thus completely cut out its shape from the upper part of the gun. We add the next cube to the scene, and in the top view, based on the reference, we begin to change its shape in the edit mode. We do the same on the other side for another element. It is also very easy to create from a cube. After the shape of this element is ready, we create a duplicate and cut this object out of our main cylinder. We will also create the next element from a cube, add it to the right place, and begin to change its shape in the edit mode. We duplicate the object with which we just made a cut from the back side, move it to the other side, rotate it, and here, in the same way, we cut out the area we need with its help. Let's select one face of this element, duplicate it, move it to a separate object, and continue working with it.